Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Time is 6:02 p.m. and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First order of business, is there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir. No, Mr. Chairman. No changes.
Okay, no changes. Okay, at this time, I'd like for you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, under board recognition.
Members of the board, members of the community of Donna Independent School District, we have 2 items that are recognition of young scholars who have achieved high levels of competition. We're very proud to bring them to you this evening, and I will turn the mic over to Ms. Betancourt, who will introduce the students and their achievements.
Members of the audience and school board, I'd like to present to you starting in the following order. We're going to start with elementary, move to middle school and high school. So today it is our pleasure to present to you all our grand champions. We competed against 13 other elementary teams to become our district champs in the great Battle of the Books event. So we'd like to call you up to the front to be recognized. Roel Cantu. Yes. All right, Mr. Cantu. And Miguel Morales. Yes. Thank you. Miguel. There you go, Miguel. Thank you, Miguel. Corpus Aguirre. Yes. And Miss Camila Guerrero. And of course, this would not be possible without the support of the coach and the parents. So we'd like the coach to come and stand up front and carry the trophy with her. So can we give Adame Elementary a big round of applause for being the grand champions in our district's Battle of the Books. And now we'd like, okay, Mr. Rini, did you want for them to shake hands and then come back? Yes, all right. If you can go ahead and go around and shake hands. All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
We'd like to congratulate the parents of these students as well. If you all can please stand to be recognized. Los padres, por favor, para ser reconocidos. Gracias. Gracias, padres, porque esto no fuera posible sin el apoyo de los padres y, claro, pues los maestros y la directora del plantel. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And now we'd like to call middle school. So we will begin with Abraham Vasquez. Abraham. Yarumi Vera Gonzalez. Yarumi. Mr. Marcos Barbosa. Miss Emily Olvera. And of course, their coach at Sauceda Middle School, Mr. Ricardo Soria. Thank you, students. Congratulations on being the champs at the middle school level. We are proud of your work, and we know that you're going on to great things. We'll talk about that in a minute. Can you please come up and shake hands? Yes. Can we have the parents of the students, as well as madres y padres de los estudiantes, que se por favor a ser reconocidos? ¿Se pueden levantar para que sean reconocidos? Gracias. Gracias por su apoyo. Sin el apoyo de los padres, esto no es posible. And of course, the principal, we'd like to recognize Sauceda, Middle School, the principal, if you can please stand to be, oh, Adela, Ms. Troncoso, be recognized. Yes.
A little bit taller now.
Come this way, come close.
Dr. Leo's game block right there. There we go. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you.
Principal, you want to get in the picture?
Ms. Troncoso. Here. The paparazzi's not ready?
There you go. Look at
Okay, ready? 1. Okay, Dr. Leo.
Again, I'm hiding, right?
Stand up, doctor. Okay, I need you to move just a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Ready? 1, 2. There you go.
Awesome. Congratulations, Sauceda Middle School. And now we'd like to present to you our champions at the high school level.
Thank you.
Starting with Ms. Judith Aguirre. Hey, Judith. Alondra Chapa. Not here, but also, who also competed was Valeria Gonzalez and Jennifer Lopez. And of course, their coach, Mrs. Terry Kilby. We'd like to congratulate you all for your efforts in being the champions. Thank you so much. And this is Donna High School. All right, can you please go around? Parents, I'd like you to know that these students started reading their books and getting ready. They've spent many, many months preparing for our event a couple of weeks ago. And tomorrow, they will be competing, starting with middle school. They go to compete at the regional level at Region 1. So they will be competing against other middle schools in the Region 1 area. We're proud of our kids starting tomorrow. Let's give them a round of applause and send them off with a happy feeling.
Okay.
High school.
Gap.
Just one little
Gap.
step.
There you go.
Not a lot. No.
Just a little gap.
Whoops.
That's fine.
That'll work.
Okay, all right.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
I've never had this problem.
Thank you so much.
We need to raise this from the.
Congratulations. Oh, ma'am, la mamá del niño, las jóvenes. Okay.
Tony, wait till they bring the trees
All right.
over.
And thank you, Ms. Kilby. Congratulations to our champions. We're so proud of you. We know you work very, very hard. We want to wish you great luck tomorrow for middle school, who's competing at Region 1. And on Thursday, high school will be competing against other high schools in the Region 1 area. And on Friday, we have elementary students competing against other elementary students in the Region 1 area. We know that you all will do great. We're proud of you, and we expect that you all will bring back that trophy, right? No pressure, no pressure. Thank you all. All right, now we will continue with the spelling bee champions. So let's go ahead and call you. We're going to start off by calling the first place winner, and this is Ms. Kayla Vasquez, who is a fourth grader at Lenore Elementary, and her coach, Elsa Villarreal.
Give her the big one.
All right, second place winner is Mr. Carlos Resendez, who is a student at Todd Middle School.
So you got second, Lester, too.
And his coach, Mrs. Janie Betancourt, if you can stand right behind him. And then third place is Miss Jennifer Perez, who is a student at Veterans Middle School, and her coach, Mrs. Nina Sanchez. And we have Marisa Martinez. Congratulations. we'll start. Okay, we can go ahead. Miss, congratulations. We'd like to congratulate our spelling bee winners, our district champions for 2018. Ahorita, por favor, si los padres de los niños están presentes, por favor, se paran para ser reconocidos, para darles un aplauso. Gracias. Thank you, moms and dads, for your support of these students.
Thank you for helping. Thanks for everything you do.
Okay, wait, well, now she moved over here, so I'll stay right here.
Stay right there, stay right there.
Don't move, don't move. I'll be the middle post.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank
And
you.
we want to thank all of you. We know you're going on to compete at the regional level in March, and we expect the best. We want you to continue just studying to get ready for that event. All right, congratulations, and keep up the great work. We're proud of you.
Again, our thanks to all the school support teams that make events like this possible and that give opportunities for the Donna School District to spotlight these young, very courageous learners who go out and do practice, 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 and put themselves forward. Congratulations to everyone who supported this effort and to all parents as well. The next item that we have under board recognition is that of the declaration of National School Breakfast Week. Ms. Quintanilla, is she here?
Yes, go right there.
She's where? Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking in the audience.
Good evening, board members, community members. I have a little short recognition on National School Breakfast Week. And I'm just going to show a quick presentation on a few pictures we took, and we asked a few of the students to ask what their favorite breakfast was. And I went ahead and printed a color slide so y'all could see if y'all wanted to take it home and see the pictures later. I'm going to kind of quickly go through it since it's several slides. I didn't get to include every campus, but as they came in, I went ahead and added them on. So I'll just briefly go over what exactly it is that we're recognizing. So National School Breakfast Week happens in the spring. The lunch one happens in the fall. It is from March 5th through March 9th. And the way that we will be celebrating it is on March 9th, we will be serving fruit cups for breakfast to each student with tajin. It's like a trecha, the salt. We did that last year. The kids loved them. And I think that that's the most feasible item for us to recognize the week with, being that we have 100% breakfast in the classroom. The kids really liked them last year. So March the 9th, we will be having fruit cups. So I'll just progress into my presentation. Out of all of them, I wish I could have had many more, but one of the favorite ones that I came across, we were expecting them just to put what they really liked, and we had a couple of interesting ones come in, like this one. It says, "Pig in a blanket made in our wonderful Run Elementary." Pig in a blanket. So this kid drew, he went all out and drew what he liked. There was a lot of them, but I know we have a very long agenda, and I don't have a whole lot of time to go through a lot of them. But I just wanted to kind of go over a few, show you a few of the campus pictures and kind of what they liked. We have Singletary, with 5 of their students. Each campus, we limited them to 5, because that pretty much is 100 students. But we kind of went and see more or less what it is that they liked, and collected a picture from each campus, as many campuses as we could. and we kind of took a tally to see what the students liked the most at the end, and it seems that a lot of them like the pig in the blanket. A lot of them like the breakfast pizza. I know pizza for breakfast doesn't sound like the best thing ever, but this one, it's with a nutritional value, and it's kind of small. It's kind of like half the size of the lunch pizza, and instead of pepperoni, it has sausage, and then it has like the white cheese and a little bit of sauce. So I kind of summarized a few of the favorite items that they liked, which was, you know, the pizza, the pig in the blanket, mini pancakes, pancake on a stick. It has a sausage inside. It's like a corn dog. The gingerbread man and the PB&J sandwich. And then I went ahead and just to bring up awareness, I brought, I put the breakfast menu pattern that we have to abide by. So although we would like to serve whatever we wanted, maybe like a breakfast platter or something from McDonald's, we're limited on the calories. So I just wanted to kind of give you all an idea of what we're required to serve and the calorie ranges according to the grades of what we're required to be within, and the minimums of each category that we need to serve in order for the meals to be reimbursable. So, do y'all have any questions, comments?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, under open forum, Silvia Casiano.
Good evening, board members, to each and every one of you, good evening. Good evening to all those present. Thank you for being here and for taking the time to care to want to be here. I'm a retired educator over 30 years, and I'm here to let you know that once a teacher, always a teacher, as they say. Once an educator, always an educator. And so because of that, I tend to be always striving to be informed about what's going on at the local level, at the state level, at the national level. And in looking at the agenda tonight, I see that Donna ISD has placed the discussion and possible action regarding the proposed termination of the superintendent. And so when I saw this really concerned me. I am here to tell each and every one of you that you please consider the perspectives of all community members, taxpayers, and above all, the impact that your decisions make on where it really matters the most. And that's the teachers and the students. Whatever decision you make tonight, you know that for better or for worse, it all trickles down to the teachers and the students. You were voted to be where you are at right now. I urge you to consider to keep the students first and foremost. And so, you know, as a community member, I don't have to go into details to remind you of the hoopla that was often in the media. What was it, about 2 or 2.5 years ago with the last board members and the last superintendent? I don't know about you, but personally, it was quite disheartening and quite sad and disappointing that we were often in the media where, you know, everyone across the valley knew about our big squabbles that we have in Donna ISD. I'd like to see that this doesn't happen again, because may I remind you that people, you know, often hear about what happens here in Donna, not only across the valley, you know, across the state, you know. We have family members who live in Austin, and they'd be like, what in the world is going on over there, you know? And often we respond, we don't know all the details because, you know, We try to keep up, but at the time we were still working, so we don't always have the time to keep up. But nonetheless, whatever you decide today, I hope that you remember that your decisions impact the community. And also, as taxpayers, your decisions
30 seconds.
Cost us taxpayers money. And I don't think that I have to tell you in what manner. And above all, your decisions, please remember that it highly impacts the trajectory of the district and the goals it has set to see the students succeed. And all I can say to you tonight is that may the Holy Spirit guide you in making the best decision that will help us have continuity and stability for the best interest of our students, not for our personal gains. And to those of you that will be in favor, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
That's it.
Okay, under superintendent's report.
Members of the board, the first item that is listed on the agenda is a status report on the health insurance redesign plan. Ms. Gonzalez is here, Angie Gonzalez is here to give that report. I would like to preface her report with a few comments. We have been in discussion recently about assessment of the health insurance fund. It is self-funded, which means taxpayers fund this program. And we have recognized in the past few months that there is a need to reassess what is being offered to employees, not only in terms of cost, but the benefits that are offered to employees, and weigh that against the cost and consider, are there adjustments we need to make to be able to provide for the well-being of our employees and to assure our taxpayers that the district's funds are being safeguarded. With that in mind, work has been going on under the direction of Ms. Gonzalez and her staff at the Safety and Risk Management Office. Work has begun to reassess the design of our insurance plan. So what you are going to hear right now is just an update. It is not the end product. We still have much more work to do. But it is important to keep you abreast of what we are doing, what we are looking at, how it is we're conducting this assessment of our self-funded insurance plan. One other disclaimer, if I may. I know that questions have been raised about the Celerix management system that was offered by Colonial Insurance Company when that company was first approved by this board. Training has begun, and when I say begun, there has been one session. During that one training session, several issues came to light regarding that system, Celerix. And so we are in conversations with Colonial and with Mr. Jaramillo, insurance agent, to continue fortifying that system so that it gives us the data that we need to have to be able to manage the fund more efficiently. So with all of that in mind, I will let Ms. Gonzalez give you the update of the design plan for our insurance benefits.
Good evening. Before I begin with the update in the process, I did want to provide you with an update on where we are as far as our health fund, how much money has been collected from both the employee and the district, how much has come in claims, and where we're at as of right now as far as trying to keep balance of that health fund. So through the end of January, we have collected $7.5 million into the health fund, and that's directly from the employees and from the district. We have received—
Ms. Gonzalez,
yes.
let me ask, you also have a line item other,
Right.
the max or rebate?
So we have received, from September to now, we have received $84,000 in rebates or money back from our previous pharmacy carrier that once they finalize the plan year, they are sending us rebates that are due back to us. We will not be seeing rebates from our current pharmacy carrier until probably June. So until those start coming in, then we'll start having an idea of other rebates that might be coming in. So through the end of January, for our health claims alone, we have paid out $4.7 million, and that is directly through the end of January. For our pharmacy, the last bill that we received was through the 15th of January, and so we have paid out 1.2, which gives us a total of $6 million paid out between health and pharmacy through the 15th of January. On Monday, I did receive one final bill for the month of January in our pharmacy, so I'll be sending that as a board update so you could have an idea of where we're at after that bill has been paid out. We also have fees that we pay monthly, and so we've got admin fees, stop-loss fees. With all fees combined, we've paid out 1.3 through the end of January, and all of those fees for that month have been paid out, so we don't have anything pending for January. So total, we have a difference of about $61,000 through the end of January. But like I said, we do have 2 weeks of pharmacy that just came in that we need to consider when we're looking at closing out the month of January. Any questions on the funding or claims? So we're gonna move on to the plan design, and I do want to emphasize, just like Dr. Leo, that these are they're discussions that we started with the company helping us with our plan design. And what we wanted to make sure was that when we made those decisions that we had the data to support it, and we had data to show how it was going to affect our employees, and if in fact it was going to make a difference into our health fund. So to the employees that are here, I just want to make sure that we understand that these are just some of the ideas that we talked about. Nothing is set in stone. We're not even at the point to where we're going to take it to committee just yet, but I did want to share with you some of the things that we looked at. So we had our simulation workshop on January the 30th, and what we were able to do was load all of our claims data into the system that we are using, and we had all of 16, 17, and our current health data. So we had data from September 2017 all the way through the end of December. And so that really gave us an idea of what our claims look like and where we're spending most of our money. Some of the things that we saw was that there was a high utilization rate for emergency room visits that were not considered emergency conditions. And so those claims tend to be really high. As you know, the ER visits are very high. Another thing that we saw was for employees who actually went to the doctor and had a full blood panel screen and had their blood checked, or they had it done at a clinic or here with us when we had our on-site visits, was that those employees were costing us about 28% less as far as claims cost. And so we started looking at that and trying to figure out what we could do to get more of our employees to go out there and get screened and really just kind of keep tabs of how they're doing health-wise. So what we did was we looked at the different premiums, you know, what the employees pay every month. We looked at deductibles, co-insurance, co-pays, the ER visit co-pays, and also urgent care visits and the maximum out-of-pockets. So those are all things that we looked at. And what we did was we plugged in different numbers to kind of show us what changes would come about if we made specific changes. So on the medium plan, what we did, and again, this is just, it's something that we looked at, nothing even to consider at this point just yet, but we looked at if we changed our deductible on our medium plan to $2,000, which is still fairly low compared to other districts or surrounding districts, and we changed their co-insurance from 70-30 to 80-20, which means the district would pay a little bit more of the cost, but again, their deductible goes up. So it was kind of like a give and take. Some areas the employees paid more, other areas the district paid a little bit more. We also looked at lowering the copay for your primary care physician visit from 25 to 20. But then what was different is that our current plan does not have a different copay if you go see a specialist. So we added in, if we created a specialist copay and had that copay at $45, then increased the ER visit copay to $500 and leaving the urgent care copay at $500, at $50, we were looking at a little over $1 million in savings towards the health plan. And this is real data because we're able to take the claims and the history of paying out in the last year and a half and compare it to what it would look like if we made those changes now. So it's not like we're coming up with numbers and just figuring out, you know, more or less what it would look like. This is actual claims data and using our numbers and our claims. We also saw that 25% of the members on our medium plan were affected in a positive way. And I think what we saw there was mainly with the copay visit and the coinsurance, is that right now we're paying $25, and if we move, they'd be paying $20. And so in some areas, we did have some employees or members affected in a negative way, but we did have some that were affected in a positive way. So, so that was something to consider for the medium plan. On the high plan, what we looked at was raising the deductible to $900. The coinsurance will remain the same at $80/20, and then their office visits possibly at $15, and then creating a copay for the specialist, because right now we pay the same whether it's a specialist or it's a primary care. So that copay, we're considering possibly $40, and then increasing the ER copay to $300, leaving the urgent care as it is. So we looked at, with that change, we looked at possible $270,000 in savings. So we're looking at 1.2, which is the minor changes that we're looking at and kind of plugging in those numbers.
Right now, how much does the person on the medium plan pay?
Monthly
Out of
or
pocket, yeah.
$15
$15
for employee only.
Okay, and if we go to the high plan,
9405.
94?
9405. And we didn't plug in any changes to what the employee pays monthly. That was something that we still wanted to have discussion with the board and possibly our employee insurance committee, because I know that in the past, there's always been a push to try to keep that premium the same for the employees. So we wanted to wait and see if that was a direction we wanted to go before we started plugging in those numbers. So some things that we are still needing to consider is moving away from a 3-plan option to possibly only 2. And so what we did was we took all of the claims of the very few people that we have on that 3rd premium plan, and we put all of their claims onto the high plan to see what that would do for them, and really they were not affected by that change at all. And so if we did do away with that 3rd plan, we didn't see that it affected the members on that. We only have about 9 people on that plan.
What is that? Is that the low, the 0?
That's the highest plan that we have. Yeah.
We have another, we have a medium, a high?
Medium, high, and the premium.
Oh, premium.
Right. And in the premium, like I said, it's only 9 people.
And how much do those people pay?
That's actually pretty high. I want to say employee only is about 170, 194. I'm not even too familiar with it because we've only had 9 people. And it's usually the same people every year.
170?
170. Yeah, it's a big jump. It's a big jump. Another thing is and after this slide, I just have one more that just information I want to share. Is I know that year after year we really have been doing really well about keeping premiums where they are, but it might be something for us to consider slightly, not a lot, and I'm going to share some numbers with you as to the reason for that. And then the other thing is also looking at providing some kind of an incentive for employees who actually go out and get their screenings done. Because if they're taking care of themselves, it's going to help us in making sure that they have what they need, and then also help with our claims cost. Okay. The one thing that we are pending is our pharmacy data. We didn't get that in time to load it into the system. But while we were looking at the health plan, one of the things that we said we wanted to look at once we had that pharmacy data is to possibly offer the medications that employees need as a maintenance drugs for those chronic conditions at a 0 copay. And also, it's kind of like a give and take. You know, there might be some increases somewhere, but those employees who really need their meds and who may have a hard time filling, you know, diabetic, heart condition medications, possibly putting that copay at 0. Okay, so those are just kind of things that we're going to be looking at for the pharmacy. Questions on that so far? So, it's on another.
Ms. De Los Rios, I was going through accounts payable. I noticed that we have, you purchase, I guess needles and stuff that we give to our employees
Right,
in the
that-
district?
Right, so that is, they're not purchased through us, it's just something that we pay out.
Okay,
All of our diabetic supplies are
Right.
delivered to their employees who get a prescription from their doctor. They're delivered, it's the machine to check their sugar, the strips and the needles, and they're delivered on a 3-month supply to the employees or their dependents if they've got
and is there a
diabetes.
savings there? to the
Yes,
district?
because they're not filled at the pharmacy, they're filled through a provider. Okay, so one thing I did want to share with you as I started looking at ways to kind of give you all a really good breakdown of what our health plan is paying and where it's paying out. We took all of the claims and all of what we've paid out from September through December, and we were able to break it down for you to show you how much each employee per month is costing us based on those claims. And when we look at employees are costing us $224.53 per month per employee. So if you look at it in that sense, the 505 that the district contributes to the employees' health insurance more than covers what we actually cost the district, if that makes sense, or if I'm hoping that I'm not like going way too far on this, but so employees alone, we've got 2,451 employees, and they cost us $224.53 per month. Our employees incurred $2.2 million in claims from September to December, and that's how we came up with that number. Our spouses, we have fewer spouses on the plan. We have 231 spouses. But between those 231 spouses, they cost $385,000 in those few months. And so our spouses are costing us $549.26 per month.
More than the employee.
Right. Our dependents, we've got an average of 1,306 dependents, and their cost between September and December on health alone was 1.3. So they are costing us $286.71 per month. So when we start looking at the premiums, you know, I've got dependents on my plans, so I don't want to see the premiums go up either. But when you really start looking at the data and we start looking at where our costs are going, I think these are things that we need to consider if we are going to be considering premium changes. We really need to have just a good picture of how things are being paid out and where the costs are.
Mhm.
And that's all I have.
The average, let me ask you a question. The average employee who is married with a spouse and let's say 2 or 3 kids, that person would pay
Family plan.
family plan. How much is that?
Right now, it's $440.61.
440,
Right.
51,
61.
61, plus the 505 that we
Plus
pay,
the
right?
505. Yes.
So it's costing us
Total is
$945.
right
Per month.
per month.
But we're spending more in claims, right? It's
Right.
costing more.
So one way to look at it, so we'll use the example of employee, spouse, and 2 children, right? We're paying, you said you added up 1,000 some, right?
945.
So if you looked at this breakdown, because like I said, these are actual real numbers of actual claims, the employee is costing us $417.42. So that's how much the premium should be for the employee alone. Then if you added the spouse, it should be plus the $549.26. We're already at 1,000,
Mhm.
plus the 2 children, 286 times 2. So that's really what,
You're already at 1,600.
right, that's what the premium monthly should be for a family of 4. So if you take away the 505 that the district contributes, we're still left with almost $1,000.
Mhm.
And so when we look at why we're at the end of every year, we are short, and this is why. We're not contributing enough to the health plan based on what we are seeing in claims.
but I mean, let's go back to the 417. Okay, that's the average cost of every single employee divided by, the cost of our coverages, right? But then we have a lot of employees who never go to the doctor.
Right.
And their medical bill is zero.
It's zero. They never have a claim.
And we're still contributing 505.
Right.
And then we have employee A, who is always ill, is going to the doctor quite a bit, and their medical bill could exceed 4 or 5 times the average. So.
But that comes out every insurance plan.
Yeah.
You have some that never cost the insurance company anything, and then you have some that go above and beyond the cost, and that's why they average it out.
Right.
And that's why you averaged it out.
Right.
I mean, you have some that are fortunately healthy,
Right.
they're not on any prescriptions, and then you have others that are on 10 medications and are, so it balances out, and that's why they come up with an average.
Have we done a study of what our neighboring school districts are charging their employees?
Yes.
It's a lot.
And where are we in comparison to that?
Employee only, we're about average, and honestly, compared to some districts, we're high, because some districts, the employee doesn't pay anything when they're on an employee-only plan.
So,
It's when they start adding dependents and spouses that their premiums shoot up a lot higher than ours.
so
But
that
then, this insurance plan is very good compared
Right.
to some of
Oh,
the
yes.
neighboring. Yes, they may pay $0 or $5,
Mhm.
but the plan doesn't cover much.
Yeah,
you
I had
know.
an employee from a friend who works at the neighboring district that said, my premium between 2 and 3 kids is so different that I have to decide which kid I'm not gonna insure on the plan because I can't afford the 3.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they are very different, yeah, they're very high.
So we have the district here has a very good
Yes.
insurance, whereas the other districts all around don't have that good a plan.
Yeah, and we were looking at the plan design, our hope was, to still keep rich benefits, not as rich as we have them, but still offer our employees a good health plan, but one that we could afford, so.
So basically, right now, we can't afford it.
No.
We're in the negative big
Yes.
time. Okay.
And as was stated at the onset, this is only the beginning. In terms of analyzing what we are able to offer and what it is costing the district, and recognizing that there has been a constant overrun. We're going to be bringing additional information to you as the staff at Safety and Risk Management continue looking at this issue. And I know that there have been expressions of wanting to see the District Insurance Committee that is made up of representatives from all stakeholders of employees in the district. And so we are going to restructure the Insurance Committee, and eventually this data will go to them and come back to you because you are the ultimate decision makers. But that will come at a later time. This is a good time for us to start this analysis as we prepare to go into the budget building for next school year for 18-19, but we still have a ways to go. So we will be providing more to you either at the board meetings or through your weekly board updates.
Mr. Lopez, is there any district in the neighboring area that is not self-funded, who is fully funded? I mean, not fully funded is not the correct term, but who has a carrier that they pay, and once they pay, that's it? Fully funded.
Mercedes, probably, Mercedes.
What
Shoreline
is-
too, I think.
Who?
Shoreline, I think.
Could you, next time, maybe bring us what it is that they pay as far as
Their premium.
their total premiums, per, I guess, employee, what we can look at? Okay, they've got, because I'm sure Mercedes has less employees than us,
Right.
and I'm sure their premium is gonna be a lot less. But, I mean, what would it be if Donna were to consider going or getting away from the self-funded and going with a fully funded coverage, where at the end of the year, we're gonna be locked into, let's say, $15 million or $14 million or whatever it is, and at the end of the year, if we're under, well, the insurance company won,
Right.
if we're over Donna one, we could have some type of comparison.
Mercedes has gone through, I don't know, multiple, they frequently change, that's the thing. But, Ms. De Los Rios you'd have to get like information as to which insurance was at what period of time. That would be helpful too. And what kind of coverage they had. Because sometimes the coverage is very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, please don't leave because we have some questions on accounts payable. It's at the very first page. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the next item under superintendent's report is we are asking for the board to approve the declaration of Texas Public Schools Week. It will run February 27th through March 1st. You have in your board packet some supporting documents, including the schedule of open houses during that week. I would like to point out that originally we were scheduling elementary, high school, and middle schools on separate dates. But I'd like to point out that on that first day, Tuesday, elementary campuses, Todd Middle School will be joining them on that day, because on Thursday, when they would have been scheduled to host open house, they are having numerous activities going on at the campus. And so as not to present that conflict, we've moved Todd Middle School to that first date. And then there are some more supporting documents there. There is a statement of declaration. Where is that? That reads, and then I would like to ask the board to formalize it with approval. It reads, whereas the students of our state's public schools hold the promise of a successful future in their capable hands, and whereas the Donna Independent School District provides the tools, framework, and solid foundation that is vital toward the future of our children, and whereas the dedicated efforts of parents, educators, and community leaders will provide the necessary support and strength to our public schools, providing our children a quality education, and whereas the students will attain a higher level of achievement because of the commitment to excellence and focus on continued improvement in our public schools. Therefore, I, Dr. Maria Filomena Leo, Interim Superintendent of Schools, do hereby proclaim February 26, March 2nd, 2000 through March 2nd, 2018, as the week to celebrate Texas public schools. We urge all citizens to support the theme, the clear choice for education, by taking the time to share with others why they choose public education. We would like to ask Mr. Chairman for a motion to approve this declaration.
Okay, there's a recommendation to approve the motion by Mr. Guerrero. Second by Ms. Watts.
Yes.
All in favor?
Favor.
Favor.
In favor.
Yeah, I'm in favor as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Under accounts payable, consent agenda, if there's anything under accounts payable that you need to pull, please do so at this time. Okay, at this time, I would like to address my question to Ms. De Los Rios. She's still here. Ms. De Los Rios, on that page 1 of 160, we have a payment going to Allstate. How is that if Allstate is not the carrier that the district is having at this time? What is transpiring there?
The only payment thank you. The only payment going to Allstate are for their current life insurance policies that they've had before. They're not new policies. They're just policies that that employees kept. They weren't offered new this year.
Okay, and that was for life insurance?
Right, it's a whole universal life insurance, yes.
Okay. That was it. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions on consent agenda? Or anything else having to do with the consent agenda?
This 7, the cheerleader constitution, you're including that in the consent agenda, right?
That is correct. It was put there. Technically, the board is not required to approve this constitution, but I understand that in the past there had been questions raised about it. A 48-member committee revised the existing constitution, and I would like to commend, if there are any members that were a part of that committee in the audience, and certainly Ms. Guerra at Donna High School, who headed that effort. I'd like to thank them because they did do a great deal of work, and what was sent to you as part of the packet is the revised constitution, revised and edited.
So I just had two comments on this. So on page 16, now, and this is a lot of work. This is a serious handbook here. So on page 16, the qualifications for Donna High School Indian Sweetheart, A and B. So the B one, having attended Donna High School for 1 full year, my thought there was that it could disqualify all of our migrant students. And I think that's also the same for Donna North. Let me see here, because I think that was one of their qualifications as well. And I guess I would encourage us to take that requirement out, because I can think of many migrant students that would be great leaders. But I'm sure that there's rationale for why that's in there too, so.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Respond to that?
Yeah.
And so if they're migrants, most of our migrants don't come in until October. By that time, football season, when the ceremonial figureheads shine, you know, that's their time of being in the limelight for the most part, is almost over. And so, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, what do you do? And we're not trying to discriminate. That's not what we're trying to do at all. It's, you know, it's just the nature of the beast. You know, it's, you know, they're forced to have to help their families by, you know, going up north or, you know, to go work, and their families have to take advantage of the season of when they're, you know, that they're allowed to work before they come back to school.
So I guess with the change, given that, I would suggest the change be, it is a requirement that the sweetheart be present during the football season, or rephrase it to where it's kind of like this is a part of the obligations.
It is further in, there is another section where it does state that they are required to be in attendance
During
at
football season.
all football games. There are requirements in another section.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my copy in front of me, but there is that stipulation.
Okay. I was just wanting us to pay attention to students that we might be discounting with this requirement of 1 full school year, you know, that.
And Mrs. Reina, you know, in all fairness, you know, that the committee did have those discussions, you know, because we didn't want to exclude any particular population of student. You know, that was not our intention. You know, our campus, you know, our schools, you know, try to cater and open the activities to as many students as we possibly can. You know, unfortunately, because of the nature of cheer, you know, and when they're mandated to participate, unfortunately, some students, you know, can't. You know, and that's also true for band. We have migrant students who
who are in band, and they can't join in until they get back. You know, they'll just pick up where they left off or whatever. Or they won't get to participate at Pigskin because they don't know the routine as well as the other students who have been there all year and practicing all summer. So, you know, it's not that we want to exclude anyone.
It's just those
You
are
know,
requirements to be in cheering, right? You have to be there during the summer and.
Right,
You know,
because of
it-
the cheer camp, you know, the
Right.
practices, you know, and things like that.
That's totally understandable. The only other thing I had was, I noticed that one difference between the high school and Donna High School and Donna North is the requirement for 1 year of high school cheerleading experience. Is that necessary to fulfill the duties of the Sweetheart?
That is because the Indian Sweetheart is actually a cheerleader. She actually participates in the cheer routines, whereas Donna North, the ceremonial figures at Donna North are academic representatives. Okay.
Okay, that is helpful. That was my 2 questions. And then the other thing is, thank you, as y'all can tell, I didn't go to school here. Don't want to say that too loud, but that's the fun of getting to know a community and falling in love with it from a different way, right? But I don't know all of the ins and outs of all of the deep traditions here. The other thing I wanted to say that I think was really awesome is that in the Donna North for Indian Spirit and Princess, it was named here that they wouldn't dance or anything that would bring disrespect to the Lipa and Apache tribe. And I think that's really special because we are, this is I don't know for folks that know, but this is the only state recognized American Indian tribe here in Texas. So it's very special, and also I think it's important that you all named it as lifting up the history of this region. And now it almost made me so excited and curious, like, does every single student understand the history of Lipa and Apache tribe? And do we have a partnership with the tribe here that informs the way we approach the dress? Do we have anything like that?
Yes.
Actually, I'll let Ms.
That's awesome. I'm
Ruiz,
excited
because
to
she's
hear.
from Donna North, and so she knows the ins and outs of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we met with them prior to our school in 2013 when we established at Donna North, and so we worked diligently with them, and we still do all the time. When we have questions or something arises, we always include them so that we don't step outside of any boundary or offend.
Didn't the tribe also adopt Donna North as a?
Yes, they did.
They were adopted.
They adopted us.
That's awesome, and I want to say that is a great example because nationally our American Indian associations are pushing to have mascots that aren't offensive to our Native American people, but instead respect and honor them, and I think that's a great example really for other school districts across the country.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any other further discussion or questions? Okay, on consent agenda, that's items 1 through 7. Do I have a recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
I need a recommendation first.
Second.
Motion. We got a motion by Mr. Billman, second by Dr. Mary. All in favor?
Favor.
Favor.
Favor? Motion carries. Anybody opposed? Okay, moving on to district operations.
At district operations, the first item on the agenda is the architect's monthly report. By Ogden, Mr. Figueroa is here. Good evening.
Rudy, it's the one that the one that I gave you?
Okay, thank you all very much. As I believe you all are watching it on the screens, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to go over very briefly. There are about 13 images that I want to go through. They pretty much represent about 49 different sheets of drawings that we've put together along with the engineers. We have had many meetings, not only with the building committee, but also with staff. We also have had the engineers meet with staff as well on the site. We also have gotten the survey completed on the site, and I'm going to show you a little bit about where we're at on this. Okay, this is the utilities. You can see in different colors here. There's some lines that we were able to find once the survey was done that there may be a problem. They are going to take additional work because, as you know, we're going to be putting the new building in this area right in here, and there's some existing lines, utility lines. This right here, this green line, is a sewer line that's coming across that we'll have to reroute, and probably needs to be rerouted anyway because in talking to Mr. Huerta, there have been some issues on some of the sewer lines in that area. So we'll be addressing those issues. These lines here, we were able to identify from the survey, these dark ones here. This is actually an electrical line that goes all the way across the campus, all the way to the back through here. And then we have a fire protection line and some data lines, I believe, as well in these areas here. Because of those lines, we're going to have to move the building further to the west to be able to avoid. We think the data lines would probably be okay to have the building over, but we think that the fire protection line would be better to have it outside of the building and even outside of the little canopy that we're having on the backside. So we'll be addressing those things. These areas here, these lines are kind of small. You don't see that. These are existing lines that Mr. Huerta from the school district has been able to walk the engineer through and kind of showed us where he anticipates some of these lines may be that are underground. And so we'll be having a formal meeting with him, not only with a mechanical engineer who he's already reviewed it with, but also with a civil engineer. And that's going to be scheduled next week. Okay, so as you can see, these are some of the lines, the additional lines. Now we have the building located. The building originally was set back up to about this area here, so we've moved it up. And mainly what we've done is, instead of just moving it 15, 20 feet, we've actually moved it a whole classroom bay. So instead of having three classrooms on the west side, now there's 4 classrooms, and I'll show you that in a minute. This is the code analysis that we've done on the entire project for each space in the building, so that we're sure we're in compliance with the various codes, including the ADA. As you can see here, this is a connection to the existing building. Before we had, this connection was about right here, so we had 3 classrooms on this side. Right now we have 4 classrooms on this side, and we're now avoiding the major lines that are back over here. But we still think that the fire protection line should be rerouted around the canopy up in this area. One of the other things we found was that there's that electrical line that runs in this area, and we're very close, I'd say within 15 feet of the easement for those power lines.
Are they all buried?
No, sir, they're above ground. The power lines are above ground, but they have an easement, I believe, about 15 feet on each side of the easement for access to work on those lines. We've discussed the elevations. We've already made all adjustments to the elevations regarding the plans and details. This is kind of sideways here. But basically what we're showing here is sections through the walls of the building. Mr. Billman, was one thing I wanted to address here was a question that you brought up with regard to roofing types. We have met with an actual roofing contractor, not only a manufacturer of products, but also an actual installer of roofs. And he's one of the contractors that y'all have used recently. It's Tatco Roofing. Jaime Ramos from Tatco Roofing. Y'all have also used American Roofing on some of your projects. In talking to him, we were trying to establish the difference in cost between the different types of roof. We're proposing using a single-ply roof. It's a two-ply single-ply. It's two plies, but it's a single-ply on the top cap, which is a white membrane, similar to what have been putting recently in your schools over at the Donna North High School. Donna High School and Solis Middle School. And these have been used above the metal roof panels that existed there before. In his explanation to him, he mentioned that the cost difference to go with a metal roof will be about $4 a square foot. And if you can take that into about 20 to 21,000 square feet, we're looking about $80,000 of additional cost. Part of that additional cost is not only the roof, but the fact that with a metal roof, we have to go with a 6-inch and 12-foot rise. So we're adding more, since we're sloping in one direction, we're adding more roof on one side. And that is to try to avoid having water going towards the existing building. So that's that additional cost as well. So that's about $4 a square foot more. At this point, unless there's a recommendation from you all, the board, we're recommending to go with the single-ply roof system. In either case, we're having to put a metal deck above the steel structure, insulation for an R30 to meet the energy code, and then have the recovery board, and then either the single-ply membrane system or the metal roof panels. Another issue with the metal roof panels is two things. One is that the galvanum is the lightest color they make naturally. That's usually the least expensive. But to meet the code, we'd have to paint that a white color, a reflective color. And so that's going to add probably $15,000, $20,000 in cost in just putting in that coating. The other thing is that these panels, for the spans that they would have to fabricate those actually on site. They would actually roll them on site and fabricate them there. And so that's additional labor as well. So just want to give you that update on that since y'all were there, the 3 board members on the building committee. We have started the foundation plan. As you can see here, we are already contacted Mr. Rangel with regard to the soil testing contract sub-consultant, so they'll be doing that work pretty soon. Right now, we're basing it on good practices for foundations in this type of area. Once we know the actual condition of the soils, then the structural engineer will make their adjustments. We've got a framing plan. We've also got worked on the mechanical engineer came by and met with Mr. Huerta and walked around. I believe Mr. Gonzalez may have also been in attendance. They walked and looked at the systems that you have now and the expansion they'll have to do to your chiller system to be able to provide cooling for this building. But they've already had those meetings and have started these documents in order to make their final adjustments. As well as the lighting. This is the lighting pattern. We also have the power and special systems for data as well. Met with Mr. Chavez and went over those things as well. Sewer lines, water lines, those systems are already being connected to the existing. The only other thing we're looking at right now is the fire protection or the fire alarm system. And we're still going to have to review that with the city to see if they're going to require an upgrade of the existing system that you have now. And hopefully, depending on how they interpret the code, there may be more work that may need to be done in the existing building. But we'll have a better idea once we get that meeting taken care of. That's, in a nutshell, that's where we're at. We just finished the design development. We're ready to go into construction documents. Should there, Mr. Billman, should be any other consideration on the roof, let us know. We'll make those adjustments immediately. Otherwise, we'll proceed with this system. We will have another meeting on March the 6th, I believe, and that'll be with the building committee again to give you an update where we're at on the building, on the actual construction documents.
How long before you have enough of your documentation, drawings, and architectural drawings ready to go out for preliminary bids?
For bidding, we're looking at April 10th to be able to go out for bids. So March the 6th, we'll be ready to give you all an update and then start wrapping it up so we can get it out in April.
And will you have to get with our purchasing department in order to put the RF?
We'll assist with all that, doing all the notice to bidders, preparing the proposals. I believe y'all are going out for compared to seal proposals. I don't know if there's going to be any changes to the selection criteria that the district has established. If not, we'll go with the one that y'all have now.
Do you know if we have approved vendors, or is this open to anybody?
It's basically open for everybody when you do competitive bidding.
It'll be an RFP.
Yes. But we'll assist the district, and I would like at some point for y'all to revisit, or at least be sure that we're okay with the existing selection criteria.
So we're looking at the first week, second week, or what?
We're looking at, let's see, the schedule. We're on schedule right now. We're looking at advertising April the 15th and April the 22nd. Having a pre-bid conference on April the 26th and receive bids on May the 3rd so that construction can begin on May the 8th.
Sir, who are the civil and mechanical engineers that y'all are using?
Civil engineer is Mariano Garcia.
Mariano Garcia?
Garcia. Mechanical is Trinity Engineering out of Westaco.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Structural is Chanin Engineering for structure. Any other questions?
Okay, this is a report only?
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody that has any questions or any comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll move on to DO2.
Members of the board, if I may, items DO2, DO3, and DO4 are all asking for approval, giving administration approval to go out for RFPs, request for proposals. At DO2, it is to purchase a walk-in cooler freezer for Donna High School. At DO3, it is to request RFPs to purchase a new serving line with 2 entries at Todd Middle School. And DO4, it is, we are asking approval to go out for RFPs on a 2018 Transit XL cargo van to be used to deliver foods at campus cafeteria kitchens. So those 3 items, if I may, request that, administration requests that the board give us approval to go out for proposals on those items.
I have a question.
Sir?
On the RFPs on the van. Okay, it seems like we're limiting that to bids by Ford only. Let's continue. The fact of the by definition, the Transit XL van, is that, are you going for a Ford or?
We currently have one, so what I did is, like, I copied the specs and I took off the Ford, but I didn't realize, I guess Transit is exclusive to them.
Right.
So that would, I want to get like a minivan, but it doesn't have to be a Ford.
Okay.
But I didn't know what the specs were because we currently have one. So I kind of just copy and pasted it, but I just thought it was the Ford. I didn't know the Transit was specific.
Only, the reason I'm asking is, I don't know, I mean, you're limiting yourself to Ford, a Ford.
Yes, that was
products
brought up
only.
to me when I submitted it, but I thought, oh, well, I'll just take off the Ford. I didn't know Transit was
Yeah,
exclusive to them.
and I don't know whether by doing that, are you limiting yourself? I mean, you know, I'm sure that probably Nissan has a little van, and so does Chevrolet, and so does.
Yeah, well, we were gonna go out for the way it looks, not so much the brand.
First
So I'm
is-
not sure how we would
¿Es lo diario, va?
correct that.
See that, Rap? Is that going to affect, the RFP on this?
If the specs came from a Ford van,
Mhm.
then they cannot bid. You know, you cannot receive quotes for Ford.
Okay, so I'd have to remove the transit and resubmit it then.
You probably need to just go out for a cargo van.
Yes.
And matching whatever specifications.
I didn't know I don't buy cars every day, so I didn't know transit was only for that, so.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may make a change to the recommendation, I would ask the board to approve DO2 and DO3 as they are listed on the agenda.
Okay, there's a
And I'll wait
recommendation-
on that first. Yes, sir.
It's a recommendation to approve DO2 and DO3.
Yes, sir.
I move.
Motion by Dr. Mary, second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
In
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor? Motion carries.
And then item DO4, administration asked for approval to go out, put out a request for proposal to purchase a cargo van to be used to deliver food and supplies to campus.
I move.
Second.
Here's a motion by Dr. Mary, a second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
In favor.
Favor
In favor.
for those changes.
Anybody opposed? I'm in favor. Motion carries.
Item 5, members of the board, administration is asking for approval to have the child nutrition program purchase budgeted non-food items for the cafeteria kitchens that cost more than $25,000 and which have been competitively bid by the South Texas Co-op for child nutrition. The South Texas Co-op is similar in concept to the buy board, and so as not to have to bring back additional requests for approvals, we're asking for authorization to buy from the co-op those non-food items that may cost at $25,000 or above.
Well, can you give us an example of a non?
Yes, let me pass out these two real quick. So here I went ahead and printed out a basic list in case y'all needed one of what we actually order on a weekly basis. Our warehouse is limited to about a week and a half of supplies. We don't have a big old warehouse where we can store a month or even 2 months. So a week and a half of operating space is what we can handle. So we pretty much order on a weekly basis. And one of the lists that I gave you all here pretty much lets you know what we do buy. Of course, we do buy about 15,000 plates a day. So just to give you an idea, 500 plates to a box. It's, I believe 8 boxes to a pallet. So it does add up whenever you're multiplying 15,000 times 5, which is 75,000 plates a week. So just with the plate storage alone, we're limited to the space we have. So we can only order so much at so much time. So here I just give you basically an example of what we buy. We buy the plates, we buy foil, bowls, liners, paper towels to clean the tables, sport kits, trash liners, and other items. But just to give you an idea of the reason I guess we need to be at this point is because we spend almost $500,000 on non-food supplies. So yes, we do buy food, we do serve food, but we also need plates and sporks and napkins and, plastic aprons and liner and, all kinds of items necessary to serve that food. And so I think it kind of puts us in a situation where we've gone from blanket POs to traditional POs to get to this level that in order not to be in violation of the local policy, we need to ask permission to exceed the 25,000. Because if you look on the other sheet that I gave you, I just wanted to give you all an idea of how much we spend. Because if I say, hey, we spend $500,000 on non-food, you're gonna say, that's a whole lot of money, but That's about the average that we spend pretty much every year. If you look in the blue, that's how much food we pretty much purchase every year. 2018, of course, is significantly less because that's about half a year's, we're in about half a year. But if you look at the trend for the green, we're about 500,000, give or take, as far as non-food. And so we're at 227,000 to this point. But we need to be able to, if we do have to purchase, if there's gonna be a shortage, some of the vendors will let us know, hey, there's gonna be a shortage in plate because of the weather. Do you wanna purchase some to store a little bit extra? Then we're kinda stuck into buying because we can't exceed the $25,000 PO.
So normally, like a standard order per week would be 22, 23?
We average, well, we run about 10 months and we average about 500,000, so easily 50,000 a month. About 12,500 a week,
But
but
you've been getting around it because you buy them in
we buy them in chunks, yes. But there's been times that the warehouse runs out, not the warehouse here, upstate, or the weather. It also makes it difficult for us to purchase because we're doing traditional POs now. We can only buy the product that we stated on the PO, and there's several bid items that limits us that if there's a substitute and they don't have the other plate, we also get shorted. So that's another issue that we may have to increase the amount of the normal PO and include 3 different types of plates in case one runs out. We can't purchase it unless we indicated it in the traditional PO. So we may have to do a standard traditional PO each month that will state 3 different plates, and that's gonna increase the amount of PO encumbered to purchase.
How has the PO system been working for you the last 4 or 5 months?
Well, it's been pretty tough because we're used to purchasing. We are the only department in the district that pretty much already had our items procured by the South Texas Co-op, in the sense that most of the districts, if not all of them, in South Texas use them to procure their items. And I've been asking some of the other districts how they do it, and all of them have pretty much blanket POs. And so it limits us that if we want to order something, it's very difficult. Yes, we can predict, but we cannot perfect what's short and what's not. And unless we indicated each substitutable item that's also on the bid and they're short, we cannot purchase it or we're in violation.
And then you have to start all the process again.
Yes, and prices change. Sometimes there's amendments to the actual bid depending on availability, or if a company bid for a certain amount, they might have totally run out for the rest of the year and opted out and said, you know what, yes, we gave you this amount, but we don't have the supply. So it becomes very difficult. We can't always purchase the cheapest item as well, and we can't go out and buy the cheapest item from 7 different vendors. We try to go with the most reliable and the person that comes through with our order as much as they can.
Mrs. Quintanilla,
Yes, sir.
where are these items stored? You mentioned, they caught my attention, excuse me, that you're ordering on a weekly basis.
We have a warehouse. We're located on the east side of Ochoa. It's actually the old Don Elementary cafeteria.
Cafeteria, that's where
That's
it's
our
being
storage,
stored.
yes. That's our storage.
And we're at capacity in just 1 week's worth
A
of
week
material.
at a week, if we shove everything together, a week and a half.
Week and a half.
Yes.
And if by chance somebody gets ill, somewhere's down the chain of the command with you, doesn't order some items on time, it's a trickle effect?
Yes, yes.
You almost ran out of plates one time.
Yes, because we couldn't get the PO. Yes, yes.
In the past.
Yes.
Is DISD in need of a bigger, complex warehouse? in order-
Actually, if we have a lot of room to the south side, if we had permission to, you know, Ochoa has a big chunk of land there, but if we could make like a big dry warehouse, because the plates are very, very, very bulky. They're not
Yes, they
very,
are.
very heavy, but they space-wise, cubic area is very important.
Yes, it is.
We do have a forklift now, and we've been double stacking because we also have commodities that come into the warehouse. So we have to be very efficient in the way that we plan the commodities and the non-food and the dry goods out, because if not, we have nowhere to store them.
How
So-
about Todd? Does Todd have anything over there? They used to store them there back in the days. That
Where?
warehouse back in Todd.
I
By
don't
the
know
high
if there's
school?
any space.
No.
I-
That's the records room.
Oh, that one's a records, that's the capacity.
Well, without getting off track here, I would highly recommend that you bring to us something to let's accommodate this for the future, because we're only growing. I don't like hearing week and a half's worth of supply. If you need to buy more to maintain it in our district, let's work towards that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
It's a motion by Mr. Guerrero to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Avila. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor?
Members of the board, D06 is similar in that we are asking for approval to allow child nutrition program, in this case, to purchase budgeted supplies for cafeteria kitchens. It is the same condition, same scenario, to buy through the South Texas Co-op for child nutrition without having to come back for additional approval to the board.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Mr. Guerrero, second by Mr. Avila. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor? Motion carries.
The next item at tab D07, a request for proposals number 091917-367 was put out. Two bids were received, I believe. Mr. Angel, 2 bids were received. We are recommending that this bid be awarded to Ben's Lawn Maintenance for lawn care services at Garza, Munoz, Singletary, and Adame Elementary Schools for the 2017-2018 school year with a 1-year option to renew.
Discussion here. Board members, before we go on, I'm curious as to where are we going with this in regards to farming a lot of this lawn maintenance out to private entities when we already have the staff here on hand. And I understand why we did it the first time. What's gonna happen next year? Are we gonna continue to solicit more and continue to farm this out? And what are we gonna do with our existing employees? You know, we've never talked about that. And I'm kind of curious as to what's our intentions here. Are we going to continue this, what has been started in the past? And now I hear that we're going to take on 1, 2, 3, 4 more campuses with the one they already have. That's 5 campuses we've taken away from maintenance. What are they doing? We're giving them less work and we're still paying them. So my question to you is, where are we going with this?
I think the idea here, remember attrition that's supposed to be happening? Okay, basically you've got a company that's willing to do the work for $40,000, and you've got, that's usually the equivalent, what this work is here is like the equivalent of 1 crew. And if you have 4 people on the crew, how much is that? And then how much equipment do you have to upkeep in order to do the work at that campus? So
Yeah,
you're
no.
easily looking at well over 100,000.
I understand.
Now, again, it's through attrition. It's not like you're gonna let go of the person.
But this attrition could take years.
I think we're pretty close to it already. I was talking to Mr. Rangel, and we're pretty close to that. And I think that probably by the start of next year, we'll probably be right on target.
How many substitute lawn care employees do we have right now? I think we have like 2 or 3, right?
Yes, currently we've got 3 slots that are open because they either resigned or they retired and have not been replaced. So we have a 4-man crew, so 3 of those automatically, they're already going into open. We have another gentleman who possibly might be leaving us very, very quickly for medical reasons, and so the other employee would be going in his place.
Doesn't this bring attention to you, Mr. Rangel, that maybe this department needs to be looked at thoroughly, better, do a little shakeup of some sort, because I certainly don't want to be the cause of farming this out and the employees feel threatened that, hey, what's gonna happen to our jobs? I don't want to be part of that. I respect every single one employee here, but it just sounds like we're going in that direction.
Well, we have 3 crews, and each crew has their designated campuses, which is a good handful, right? With the current 3 positions that we have open, and possibly another one coming up, that's already 4 positions. So if you take a look at those 4 personnel that we would have to hire, go with the lowest hourly rate, which is $8.80, their fringes, their insurance, and what we're looking at about, and these were calculations that I came up with back in 2015 when we first looked at it for Donna North. For 4 personnel, we're looking at spending $104,000.
And that doesn't include the equipment, the truck, the
Correct.
insurance.
Correct.
Or the tractor that you find in the lake.
Right. That's
The
just
what was in the
personnel.
lake?
Yeah.
A tractor in the lake?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know how to
Where
swim.
I'm concerned.
Yes, sir.
Seems like we're not doing due diligence with this, maintenance department. Needs to be, again, like I said, I'll use the word, needs to shake it up, and let's figure out what's going on, because I don't think we can continue to do this, because next year, this farming it out is an awesome deal. I understand the cost savings to the district, which is a great thing. But again, my question is this gonna continue? Maybe that is a route. Is that what we wanna do? Is that what we wanna do? Private it all out, 100%? And if so, let's do it right now, if that's what we're getting at.
Can't do that. Well, that's not the agenda item,
I don't-
Mr. Millman, but.
But my point is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. My recollection of how this started was something about the location of these schools in particular and the amount of time it was just taking for employees to get out there. That's what I'm remembering as a part of this.
That
I
and
mean,
they couldn't,
honestly,
yeah, and they couldn't work during certain hours because the kids were out. And then you know, it was just, we had discussed it, I think, at one of our meetings, right? At length.
No more questions for me.
What's the recommendation, Ms. Leo, on this?
We are recommending approval to award the bid to Ben's Lawn Maintenance at a cost of $39,150 for the remainder of the 2017-2018 school year with a 1-year option to renew.
I make the motion, we approve.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Avila, second by Dr. Mary. All in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor? Motion carries.
The next item on your agenda, administration recommends approval to initiate the payment to ROFA Architects for the schematic design of Todd Middle School classroom additions in the amount of $32,000.
So moved.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Guerrero, second by Ms. Watts to approve. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
The last item under district operations at number 9 is to, administration is asking approval to initiate the payment to Reich Ogden Figueroa Associates Architects for design development and the topographic survey of Todd Middle School classroom additions. That too is in the, no, that one is in the amount of $72,650.
Recommendation to approve?
So motion by Mr. Avila,
Second.
second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
Favor.
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Vote in favor.
May I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
We go now to academic services. The first one at AS1, we'd like to administration recommends approval of the final award for Idea B Preschool Formula NOGA, and that is at Fund 225, that the board approve acceptance of this award in the amount of $36,024. We'd like approval
Move
to
we
accept.
approve.
Thank you.
Second. Motion by Ms. Reina, second by Mr. Avila. All in favor?
Favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Favor?
At AS2, administration recommends that the board approve the acceptance of the final award amount for the Idea B Formula NOGA at Fund 224. This award is in the amount of $2,857,101.
Make the motion that we approve.
So motion by Mr. Avila to approve,
Second.
second by Mr. Guerrero. All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. At AS3, we are open for discussion. We are recommending approval of the 2018 summer school program as it was inserted in your agenda. You have the listing of the schools, the grades that will be served, and we did send a corrected page because we did make one major change, and that is that the pre-K program was originally to be placed at Munoz. It will go to Lenore Elementary. Are there questions? You will find the description of the summer program behind tab AS3.
No questions, just one request that if, at the end of the summer, start of the school year, if we could have a report on the effectiveness of, you know, how many, all these programs that we're offering, like what kind of impact are we seeing on students? How many students recovered credit and that kind of thing? I would have liked to seen that kind of data alongside this outlay of the program, because as we look at programs across the district, I'm always asking the question, what is the effectiveness of this program? So what I would have liked to seen data from last year with an analysis of, here are 2 or 3 things that we changed for this summer because of what we saw in the data. So that's I guess a request for this coming August, September, that there's like a program evaluation on its effectiveness from the summer program.
We will make note. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
I did have a question. There's 2 things up on top in yellow. One of them says Donna Summer Camps, Donna ISD Summer Camps, and the other one says Summer School. What is that summer camp exactly? Somebody know?
Okay, Ms. Cruz?
Okay.
That clears it up. Yes, thank you.
And are we having, over here where it says 9 through 12, are we having some at Donna High School and some at Donna North? Just one.
Donna North will be the host, yes.
Any other questions? If not, I have a
Second.
motion by Ms. Watts, second by Mr. Guerrero to approve.
Favor.
summer school
Favor.
program.
In favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Vote for it.
The next item at AS4 is discussion and possible action on approval of the school calendar being proposed for the 2018-2019 school year.
Wow.
Behind the tab, the corresponding tab, you had a side-by-side listing of the similarities and differences between the 3 calendars that were proposed, calendar A, B, and C. You have then a third page, which shows how the staff was asked to vote on their preference of these three programs, calendars, I'm sorry, and 58.74% of all those who responded to the survey favored calendar 3. Mr. Rana is here, who spearheaded that effort. If you have questions.
Which is that? B? C?
C, calendar C.
Calendar C. Calendar C.
Was the overwhelming favorite. And so we recommend approval of calendar C to serve as the 2018-2019 school calendar.
Is the recommendation to approve calendar C?
Motion to approve.
There's a
Second.
motion by Ms. Watts, second by Mr. Avila. All
Favor.
in favor?
Favor.
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor? Motion carries.
We go on to business and finance. At that section, BF1, we would like approval, we recommend approval of a vendor, to award vendor for the purchase of 6 cargo vans for the Energy Management Department to Chastang Ford out of Houston at a price of $206,988.
Was this money budgeted?
Yes.
Yes, sir, this money is part of the designated funds that were designated at the beginning of the year in the
Part of
budget.
the fund balance was switched over.
So we recommend approval of this bid.
I so move.
Second.
It's a motion by Mr. Billman, second by Mr. Avila. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Favor.
Favor? Motion carries.
The next item we have for your consideration is that we are asking the board to approve the out-of-state travel to the International Society for Technology and Education Conference, which will take place in Chicago, Illinois, June 24th through the 28th. And we have 4 employees who are asking to travel to this conference. There are 2 master technology teachers, 1 instructional specialist, and the director of technology.
Does this travel part of any, is this a travel requirement of any programs or anything that you have to do that if you don't attend, we may lose funding for?
Good evening, board members, interim superintendent. No, we don't. It's not part of any other program. We do have EASTI, TCEA in Austin, but we didn't make that conference, so we're hoping that we can get the board to approve to go to EASTI, which there are over 75 countries all over the world that meet every year. And we try to attend like the San Antonio area, since it's closer, but this year is in Chicago.
I move we approve.
Well, I had a question.
Sorry.
That's okay. What is allowed, like, do you stay at the host hotel or?
Yes, it's a host hotel.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I'll
it all
second that.
falls within the budget, falls within the guidelines?
We do have allotted budget money for that
Okay.
on a yearly basis. Yes.
Dr. Mary, if I may also add, we have had ongoing discussions at the cabinet level about travel guidelines and whether we need to reassess those as well.
Okay.
And specifically, the cost of the host hotel and whether we will allow for that or not. We are going to be taking to the principals meeting tomorrow revised travel guidelines. We do believe we need to put a cap on that particular expense. but previously there had not been written guidelines that specified that.
I think, didn't we have a policy in place about out-of-state travel?
Yes, there is a policy that requires board approval. Were you asking specifically, did the policy reference the reimbursement rates?
Well, I know that at one time, you know, we had discouraged out-of-state travel because of the cost.
The cost.
The extended cost of going, you know, the airplane, the hotels, travel around
I don't
places.
remember that, Mr. Givell.
Yeah.
Well, I do.
Well,
Oh.
it's been in place for many years, I think. That, I know that out-of-state travel has always been discouraged, and it's always been, recommended that travel and, conferences be, in state only, you know.
But I don't think we have a policy around that, though.
We do not.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay,
We will-
we had a motion from Ms. Reina and a second from Mr. Avila, and this was to approve. All in favor? All against?
I'm against.
I'm against.
I'm against.
And I'm against, so the motion carries and it's denied.
Thank you.
And as added information, we are constantly looking for training opportunities closer to home. It happens that there will be a group going the 27th of February to Point Isabel School District. They have been piloting a project on blended learning. They are ahead of the game when it comes to technology integration. And so we have 4 individuals, including Mr. Chavez, Ms. Cruz, and Mr. Arana, that will be traveling to, the district is putting on a presentation for others to go and see what they have been able to do. And so we look for many opportunities closer to home, but we appreciate the input provided by the board. And we will do the policy review as well. Item BF3, administration is asking for approval to have Microsoft licenses renewed through an agreement with SHI Government Solution. These licenses are for students, faculty, and staff district-wide. This will be at a cost of $108,574.84. Mr. Chavez is here if there are additional questions.
This is a renewal from last year? Is this the same thing we had last year?
Yes, sir. We're in the second year. We got one more year under this agreement.
Could you give us a little more background on this as far as what the benefits are?
Well, the thing that we need, when you operate a computer, every computer has to have a license. So we're using Microsoft. We're a Microsoft district, and we need to comply with those licenses for the whole district. In addition, they are given 5 licenses to all staff and students, personal devices or whatever, as long as they have available 5 licenses to download, and that's part of the agreement that we have with Microsoft. But it's also including the servers that we have. Those are more expensive than just the regular licenses as well.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, recommendation?
We recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Mr. Guerrero, second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
Favor.
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Favor?
The next item, BF4, the board approved our soliciting request for proposals on E-rate services for Category 2 funding year. Mr. Chavez, can you give a little more background?
Yeah, on category 2, we took it to the board to get approved to solicit and advertise back in 2017. So now we're
December.
bringing the final to award the vendor for that Todd Middle School addition, the new wing. And that's where we're bringing it up to you right now.
And the vendor is inside public sector.
Yes, that's correct.
So this will come from E-rate at a price of $64,422.26. We recommend approval.
Make the motion, we approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Avila, second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Favor?
And while Mr. Chavez is up there at the mic, the next item, BF5, we recommend approval for approval of the RFP on telephone services, is what this is, and that the bid be awarded to Telco Services.
For correction, that's Form 470. That's not our RFP.
I'm sorry, say again?
We don't have an RFP for that. It's a 470 that we put out there for category 1. It
I'm
does not
sorry, you're
require
correct.
RFP, yes.
The
Admin-
recommendation is to approve.
Yes, sir.
I make the motion, we approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Avila, second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
Favor.
Favor.
Anybody?
Favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Board members, the next three items, BF6, BF7, and BF8, are all related to RFPs for greenhouses at Donna North and Donna High School, a Super Duty truck at Donna North for the agricultural science, and a Ford Transit passenger van for Donna North, all coming from the CTE department. With deepest apologies, administration is retracting these items from the agenda, asking that they be tabled for the next board meeting, regular board meeting. We found a technical glitch that we need to.
Make the motion that we table this then?
Yes, sir.
Second.
There's a motion to table by Mr. Avila, second by Dr. Mary. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Favor?
We go to the items under Human Resources. Ms. Ibarra, would you please give us the background on the approval to add appraisers for the T-test evaluation system?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. This is simply one of our principals at 3D took the test that you need to get certified to become an appraiser under T-test. And so if you see the certificate is attached to the item. But it does require board approval so that he can be added on to the list of current appraisals. Do you have any questions?
Right now, the only one is Mr. Villarreal?
No, he's going to be added on to the other list,
Okay.
the ones you guys already approved before.
Okay. So moved.
There's a motion by Mr. Guerrero to approve, second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Anybody against? Motion carries. Okay, time is 7:56. We'll be going into executive session as authorized by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, and .084.
Yep.
Okay, time is 9:42, and we're back in open session. Take possible actions on matters discussed in executive session.
Members of the board, on the matter of the principal at Todd Middle School, I would like to recommend that this item be tabled.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Guerrero, second by Mr. Avila. All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
In favor.
Favor. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Letter B.
Regarding the district, hiring of district personnel, I recommend that the board approve those individuals as recommended in executive session.
So move.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Avila to approve, second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor? Motion carries. Letter C.
There is no action required at this time.
I move we take no action.
Oh, you don't have to make a motion for no action.
Oh, okay.
Letter D.
I move we take no action.
Okay, there's a motion on letter D. Discussion and possible action regarding proposed termination of the superintendent for no action.
I second.
There's a second by Ms. Watts. All in favor?
Favor.
In favor.
Favor.
Anybody opposed? Favor? Motion carries. Letter E. This is discussion and possible action to approve pending or contemplated litigation settlement matters and/or matters where the professional duty under state board requires private consultation with the attorney.
There are no action on this item.
Okay, no action. Need a motion to adjourn?
So move.
A motion to.
There's a motion by 3 board members.
We all want to go home.
I'm going to say Ms. Watts, a second by Mr. Avila, correct?
That's fine.
All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Anybody opposed?
It's good seeing you.
Favor?
Here.
Motion carries.
I'm gonna cancel probably.
Meeting adjourned.
Maybe we'll take